we're going to make a nut seed cracker. Now this is the most simplest of all the dehydrated crackers I make. Now you don't need a dehydrator machine. In fact, for many years, about 5 or 6 years, I've been making these recipes with just my oven on the lowest setting. But my Christmas present was I bought myself a dehydrator, which means it comes with these beautiful silicone sheets. But what you can use, if you don't have one, is just a metal tray and some baking paper. Let's get started. This one's really simple. I'm going to use 1 cup of flax seeds, or you might know them as linseeds. And when you soak these, they become gelatinous. Flax seeds are like the egg in the raw food world. So I'm just going to put them in there with some water. Cover it with water. Notice how they were really nice and slippery when I poured them in. When we come back to this in a few minutes, it's going to be a bit like glue. And that's useful to bind the other ingredients together. I'm going to add in a cup of mixed seeds, sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds. Something to consider is the texture. I think it's nice to have some of the seeds whole and some ground. Now with the linseeds, if I keep them all whole like this, they'll actually pass through the body pretty much undigested. Now that's kind of problematic. So the body can get the nutritional content out of it, I also like to grind some. So I'm going to grind a little bit in a spice grinder. Now I use a spice grinder when I only have a small quantity of product that I want to grind. Okay. I'm still going to keep the ratios the same, so I might take out some of that linseed and use it, safety, use it in another cracker recipe. Actually, you can buy LSA mix at a health food store, linseed, sunflower and almond meal, but don't do that because once seeds are ground, they have a limited shelf life and they can become rancid. And you know, if you smell the product and it smells like kind of stinky and old, that's not good. This smells fine. It's fresh. We know we just ground it then. Oh, look at that already. It's already turning like cement. So cool. Just getting out of the bad habit of using my finger. I like my fingers. What's going to flavour this is some salt, maybe some cumin, coriander. I just found this Moroccan spice grinder because I use so much cumin and coriander and everything, and this is just saving me time. How much? Maybe half a teaspoon of each. Don't like cumin, don't like coriander, put something else in there. Maybe you might put some kind of barbecue spice mix. You might even put a little bit of curry powder, whatever you like. Okay, so it's becoming quite gelatinous. Probably could even have a bit more water in there. So I'm going to pour that in there. So that was the 1 cup. I'm just putting in, saving that because I put in extra of the ground. A little bit of water to cover, mix it up. Now I didn't need to do that extra step of soaking the linseeds, but I just wanted to show you the transformation. And some sesame seeds. Where does a non-dairy drinker get their calcium? Well, a good source is sesame seeds. You can find them also in tahini, which is just the ground down whole sesame seeds. Just get my spatula. You'll know it's the right consistency when it resembles cake batter. So put it on your Teflex sheet if you have one of these Excalibur dehydrators, or your baking paper. That's it. So easy, right? Just bear in mind, the more liquid you add, the longer it will take to dehydrate. Doesn't really matter. Now this will go in the dehydrator, I think about 4 to 6 hours. Now the reason why I'm being vague is because it's going to depend on how humid the environment is where you're dehydrating. If you're doing it in the oven, it's going to depend on your particular oven settings. So if you are putting this in the oven, the lowest setting, 50 degrees. To be considered raw, technically, it needs to be below 47 degrees Celsius. So we'll convert that to Fahrenheit. I think that is about 117 degrees Fahrenheit. You can make them thin, you can make them thick. And if you really wanted to be fussy about the edge, you could get a knife and butt it up against the edge, or even just go like this to make a nice square. And the edges become thinner because they dry quicker. So it's actually good if the edges are a little bit thicker. That's it. Done. It's easier to score this or cut it before it's dried. So you can use a knife, but because I've got these nice Teflex sheets, I've just got this little thing I'm going to use. So just marking whatever size you want. I kind of like these small. Oh, some little ones on the end. What is this? I don't know. I think it's like to scoop up a slice. Just found it in the cupboard. Okay, into the oven, maybe overnight, or into the dehydrator. Actually, just a point, if you're going to put this into the oven, wedge the door open with like a wooden spoon to help the moisture escape. Yeah, otherwise the condensation will just form on the door of the oven. It will take longer to dry. Let's go to the dehydrator. So I've just got this dehydrator outside because it's a little bit noisy. It's got a little bit of a hum and we're filming inside, but there's no reason why you can't have your dehydrator in the kitchen with you. So these are going into the dryer. Notice we've got some other goodies in there. And the thing I like about this, come a little bit closer, is that it's got a temperature setting and it's also got a timer. So you can kind of put it on. I mean, you can put it on for whatever, 8 hours and leave the house or go to bed and rest assured that it's going to turn itself off. Okay. This is the simplest out of all my cracker recipes, and it's the quickest to dry because it doesn't have any fruit or vegetables in it. And so I haven't actually needed to flip this. And that great tip of scoring it before it dries makes it, look, I don't even need to cut it, just snapping. Reminds me of those school biscuits we used to have, Saladas, where they would come in 4 pieces. I don't know, did you have them? So store them into an airtight container, and you can even keep them in the fridge, keep them in the cupboard. If they're really dry like this, they're okay to keep in the pantry. Okay, let's make some others.